So welcome back to the channel. What have we got happening today? We have got two body control modules from a Vauxhall Astra K, that's them there. Now the original body control module, the symptoms were external lighting issues, so sometimes the lights would work, sometimes they wouldn't. We done wiring checks on the near side headlamp, and it turned out that there was no output coming from this BCM, or in fact the original BCM, so there was no output for that near side headlamp, which is rather strange, but we did test directly at the plug of the BCM connector, and we did do wiring integrity checks, make sure there wasn't any short to grounds on that circuit. It all passed all the tests, so we are going to need to copy the immobiliser data from this BCM, transfer it over to the donor module, which the customer supplied, thankfully. So the donor module has got the same numbers on it, so we are hoping that everything will go smooth. So I'll show you how we do this. It's rather simple, to be honest with you. You've got an EEPROM in here which we need to read the data from and get the original EEPROM data transferred over to the donor module. We will get the camera flipped around and we will show you what we're going to do. So now that we've got the adapter in place, all we need to do is just go to read. So if we click on read, so it's not read properly there. So sometimes what you need to do is sit it on it a bit better. Sometimes it can become a wee bit loose, so we'll try that again. So that is us read that EEPROM data there, so you can see it's came through this time, so we'll just show you that again. So we will not save that file at the moment. We will click on read. You can see there's the information that we need. So now that we've got that information, all we need to do is get that data transferred over to this EEPROM, and that will mean once we plug this into the car, it will fire right up and it won't need any programming done with the keys or anything of that sort of nature. So let's get that done quickly. We'll put that on a time lapse. So we're back at this Vauxhall Astra K, and we are going to plug in our donor module. Now I'll just switch these around. You can see all the plugs up there for it. So all we need to do is plug that in, and then hopefully it'll start right up. So I have got it plugged in. It's a wee bit of a pain to get back into this sort of area here. So it lives in there, so I'm just going to remove the glove box compartment just to keep it simple. We've only got 7mm nuts, 7mm bolts, which I'm just going to zap off, and I'm hoping this will just come out. Pretty simple. I must have, to remove that I must have pulled that down, but I definitely didn't remove the glove box to get it out, so bit of a weird one. It's not going back in its place, so it's one of these ones you need to remove it, just make sure it's back in properly, and that shouldn't take too much to do. So yeah, so the glove box literally just folds down, and that is a module in there, the one that we've done a donor clone on. And we're just going to get it sitting back in this assembly here. I just couldn't get it in. I'm hoping this will make it a little bit easier. So we've got this bloody thing back in, because it was a nightmare to get back in, believe it or not. I'm not going to say a nightmare, it didn't take long, but it was just very pernickety. So I'll spin these around and you can see, so that's it in at the moment. And obviously once you remove the wiring loom and that, you need to make sure you clip them back in. So there's one clip there and one that just sits round about in that metal bracket, so none of the wires chaff against anything. So before I build any of this glove box back up, I'm just going to put the key in ignition, make sure it starts first of all, put the top down X-link on the car, clear the fault codes and make sure that near side headlamp works. And then afterwards, just make sure there isn't anything else on the system for any other faults. Hopefully there's not. The customer's complaining about his radio not working, but that might be another day testing that. We're only here to do the BCM today, that's all we've got time for. So we're going to turn the ignition on first of all, make sure it starts, check the health scan, clear all fault codes and see if there's anything remaining. Fingers crossed, nothing is. We will go to Vauxhall. Is ignition on? Yep, that is. Just let it do its thing. Before I try and start this, I'm just going to clear all the fault codes. So we'll go to automatically search. So that is the right VIN. We will go to health reports, then we'll just do a high speed scan. So we will click high speed. So we'll let that run through its thing. I don't know if I mentioned in the other video, but there is a discounted price for this coming up on the 16th and 17th of this month. So I think that's Prime Day or something like that. So Top Don have just asked me to let you know that. I don't make any commission off of this tool at all, nothing. So don't think I'm, trying to get you to buy stuff. I don't make anything off these. So we'll go into, first of all, passenger airbag. We can't do anything about that now because it's still disconnected. Go into ECM, stop, start, select switch. Not too sure about that. So we have got a whole load of fault codes there, but we're just going to do a full system clear because we have had it unplugged. So let's see, and hopefully nothing is remaining because I am not in the mood. So we've got one in the BCM, which is right rear tyre pressure sensor. Now when we did a health scan on this, when we diagnosed it, that fault code was already there, so we're not interested in that, so that's a good thing. So we're just going to turn these around here and see if this little Astra will start. So we'll remove the machine out the road. So clutch down. So it does start. It is very rough, or it was very rough. It's calmed down now, but it was shaking. But this isn't this hasn't been started for a good, I think for a good 2-3 weeks. But you can smell the fuel. But it seems to have eased itself a wee bit. So we're looking, at the moment, we're looking good. So we need to check what it came in here for. So the headlamp on low beam wasn't working. So if I go out, so the headlamp's right now switched on. So if I just go around to the car, so the driver's side, that was working before. Passenger side, that wasn't working, so the headlamp itself is working now, which is good. If anyone's interested, the wires for the headlamp output on these it's got two yellow wires that come out of the body control module, and I'll just try and pinpoint you where they are at the minute, if I can remember. Yep, so they are right here. So if I turn these around, so on that plug right there, you've got two yellow wires. So one of them obviously is for your driver's side headlight low beam, and the other one's for your passenger side headlamp low beam. That is on the black plug. So if you look at it from the top, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 plugs down, just in case anyone gets the same type of fault. So we're going to get all this built back up, get the airbag light and that turned off, and I think we are going to rebook this for the radio. The radio at the moment isn't working, so if I try and turn it on, there's nothing. So that'll be another day. The reason the customer needed this low beam issue sorted was because the MOT has ran out, so we'll need to, that was the main sort of concern, was to get that low beam issue fixed, because obviously it would have failed an MOT on that. The radio, not really interested in, it's not an MOT failure, I believe, but I'm not an MOT tester, so anybody that is, but I don't think a radio would fail an MOT. But yep, so we're going to get all this built back up. Thanks for watching. As always, like, share and subscribe. But I think there's going to be a next clip coming right after this, so you should be watching that one right about now. How are we doing, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have got this little Kia Picanto. If I flip round, you can see it's a little 68 plate Kia. So what we've done is we've plugged in the top down, because this customer's complaining of a lack of power. So this was apparent after a clutch change. Whether that was something that was there before or after, she doesn't know. So we've been called out and we're going to run a diagnosis on it, and we'll run along this with you on a video. We're going to go into EOBD. Just for this one, is Kias and stuff like that can be funny with the fault code descriptions. So we'll let that go into EOBD, and we'll click enter. So there we are there. So basically what we've got here is a P00 Charlie Echo, which is intake air temperature measurement system multiple sensor correlation bank 1, and we have got a lost communication with mass or volume airflow. Now she did say that they did have all of that unplugged. There's one pending at the moment, and obviously there's one current, so that's the mass or air volume, so the MAF sensor more or less. But we're going to go into live data and look at the intake air temperature first of all, as I'm sure she says she had a sensor replaced. So if we look at the intake air temperature, you can see it's sitting at 95 degrees, which is obviously wrong. What we're going to do is we're going to get a wiring diagram, hopefully if we can get one. We'll get a wiring diagram up for this, just to make sure there isn't any separate intake air temperature sensors. Sometimes there's a couple of different ones, but this is a small engine, so it should just be sort of incorporated inside the MAF sensor. But we'll get a wiring diagram up for that just to be 100% sure. So right now we are currently showing you the intake air temperature / pressure sensor. So this one is separate from the mass airflow. So this one is incorporated into the, if I can focus a bit better, that is, intake air temperature / pressure sensor. So we need to locate that. So we've located the map sensor on this car, so it just sits down here. Now our next step for this is, what we're going to do is we're going to get the decade box on it, that'll just confirm whether or not, once we give it a resistance, if the temperature will be able to get read on the live data. If it does, then we know that the ECU is taking that information in. We can confirm that the wiring is good on it, and we can also put it to a temperature which is more likely, so the correlation between the two isn't flagging the fault code anymore, and we'll see if the fault code will clear. That will confirm everything, and we will order up the part if it's required. So we've got the intake air temperature down to a respectable 51 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 10-15 degrees, which is still a bit generous on this type of day, Scottish weather. So we're back probed in there. Now we've already cleared the fault code, so if we go back, usually this fault code would come back after starting it up. Now obviously we're still going to have a intake manifold pressure circuit high, which is going to stay there because we had to unplug the sensor due to the sensor being stuck at that resistance. Whatever we've done here wouldn't have changed the reading. So the manifold absolute pressure fault code is going to be there even when we start it. So we've had the car running now for 3 minutes, which is enough, because the fault code would return almost within the first 10 seconds of running. So I'll just show you that the fault code is not there anymore. So if I flip these round, I'm still getting used to this camera, by the way, so the footage might be a bit iffy. So if we go into read fault code, we'll click on Kia, and you can see the only fault code that we've got is the map on the pressure. The reason that fault's still there is because we've got it unplugged. We're only focusing on the temperature side today for this fault. So we'll get a new map sensor, a new intake air temperature sensor. Basically it's the same thing. So we'll get a new one of them ordered up for this car. I don't know how long it will take. Kia parts are a bit funny. So we'll probably get this done on the next video that we upload. So we've picked up a little Kia sensor. This is the next morning, by the way. So this sensor was actually in stock, so that kind of tells you a lot. It's a very common thing by the sounds of it, because they don't usually keep this sort of stuff on the shelf, especially genuine parts. So if I spin these around, and I'll show you the number for it. So that is the number there, if anyone is interested. Around about £66 this cost, not too bad. And we also picked up some liquid moly electric spray, because we're running out of electronic contact cleaner, and we thought we'd give this a go just to see how it is. So we're back. So we've got the scan tool connected up, and you can see we're still reading 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we're going to do is we're going to get that one unplugged, plug in the new one, and see what the actual reading's supposed to be. So it's currently reading minus 38. That's because we've got it unplugged. So we're just going to plug the new one in now and see. So you can see we are at 62 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's a difference of nearly 79, so just over 30 degrees Fahrenheit, if I'm doing the math right. So that is our correlation. So you've seen there that the intake air temperature sensor was supposed to be reading in the range of 62 degrees Fahrenheit. The old one is reading roughly around 98 degrees Fahrenheit. So the correlation between the bad sensor and obviously the other sensor on the engine, that's why that correlation fault's there. So that correlation fault won't come back now, for the simple fact that the new sensor is able to read the right temperature, which is 62 degrees Fahrenheit. So we've got it plugged in. We'll get the bolt in that, took off it, get the new sensor put in place, clear the fault codes, take it a run, and make sure everything else is okay. So we've taken this little Kia for a road test. No further warning lights present on the dash, as you'll see right now. So we've got a clear dashboard, and if we show you the temperature, so the ambient air temperature is sitting right now at 66 degrees Fahrenheit. So before, the temperature for the intake air temperature would either sit at 98 degrees Fahrenheit, or it would sometimes go over to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. It just really depends on the sensor and what it was actually faulting at the time. So if you can share the content, that would be really good, so we can get those subscribers up. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.